Hey soldiers, a global event is in the process of occurring that could make it impossible for you to afford to be able to drive to work, let alone purchase groceries. We've got a hyperinflationary scenario building here, and it has to do with events that are taking place right now in the Middle East. Of course, you all know what has been occurring over there. I've got to be careful because I'm not sure how the algorithm treats this type of news. We're going to focus on it from a financial standpoint, looking at the economic ramifications of the Israeli army going into Gaza. The Iranians have said that if that happens, then they're going to enter the fray. They're going to intervene in any ground conflict. Guys, if that occurs, we're looking at a scenario where we could see a larger breadth of involvement, even by the United States, especially if we see a reoccurrence or reestablishing of what we saw in 1973 with the oil embargo. Now, if that oil embargo occurs, some economists believe that'll drive oil prices up 300%, which is what happened back in the 70s. If that occurs now, we're looking at roughly $300 per barrel, somewhere in there, or higher. And if that occurs, then we're looking at $15 or higher gasoline. Now, I don't know how big your tank is, but I'm going to tell you right now, if we got to even half of that, it's going to slow this economy like you wouldn't believe. It's going to drive us into hyperinflationary prices. We've already seen those in food. We went over that in a video last week. It showed you how the price of items like, for example, flour is up 100% in some markets here in the United States. Well, you know, as a soldier of finance, that in the event that we see higher oil prices and higher gasoline prices, you know, as a result, then everything that's produced, I mean, the apple that you buy at the grocery store, it's going to cost more to plant that apple. It's going to cost more to harvest it. It's going to cost more to transport it. It's going to cost more to feed that cow, transport those cuts to your butcher, your farm, your grocery store. Okay. Now we're just talking food. We're not talking anything else. So look, let's take a look at a few things. Number one, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. If you check this chart out here, we see that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is almost at a 45-year low. Look at when we established that, kind of in response to what we saw in, you know, the embargo times, saying, hey, we need our own supply, right? For emergency purposes. Well, if we had to rely on that supply today as a country, we would only get 17 days out of it, thanks to the Biden administration selling that oil all over the world, okay? And their rationale for doing that is to mitigate the sanctions on oil products from Russia. So the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is finite, so we both know that we all know that that's not going to be a permanent solution. Further, we do a poor job with our energy policy here in America. We are the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. We've got plenty of oil, but we don't drill for it. We subcontract that out to black and brown countries, all the while talking about how great environmentalism is, okay? Kind of like the same thing they do with the rare earth elements. Everybody drives around in a Tesla with the Starbucks in the cup holder, but yet and still the cobalt. Check out how that's mined. Check out who brings that up out of the ground. All right, so we're dealing with that situation. We go back, we talked about the embargo of the 1970s, and we know that's actually where the reserve, that's how we got a lock on the reserve currency and actually established ourselves firmly, because Kissinger went over to Saudi Arabia and made the deal, the petrodollar deal. You guys denominate oil sales in dollars, we'll protect you militarily. All right. So if we're facing an oil embargo, remember, guys, BRICS, they weren't here in 1973. But now we got the BRICS nations. We got a whole lot of new members. And guess what? BRICS controls 43% of the oil out there on the market. Further, OPEC. Okay, a lot of these BRICS members are OPEC or OPEC plus members. Russia is an OPEC plus member. Now, I know you probably understand that they're not too friendly with us right now thanks to all these sanctions. So these these events are conspiring to raise the price of oil tremendously. Now, I hope it doesn't happen, but if it did, we could see a collapse in the status of the dollar as the world's reserve currency. If 43% of the supply, the BRICS nations, the OPEC nations, say, you know what, we're not pricing this in dollars anymore. We're moving on because this is our response to America's intervention. Now, look, guys, we're not talking about the politics of this. We're just looking at potentialities of an economic sort. But these countries could say, hey, look, America set the precedent. When Russia went into Ukraine, America didn't like it, and they imposed sanctions. Well, now that America's coming over and intervening, maybe we can impose some sanctions of our own. That would be bad. Okay, we talked about those price increases causing hyperinflation, which is exactly what happened. And you wouldn't be able, look, at $15 per gallon gasoline, where are you going? Okay, and what are you doing when you get there? All right, you won't have the money to buy anything at the store when you get there because all of the prices there would have increased tremendously. So we'll see an overall spike in energy prices. To heat the home, okay, we are going into the winter in the Western Hemisphere, Western and Northern Hemispheres. We're going into the winter. Actually, let me just say the Northern Hemisphere, because the whole damn thing goes into winter pretty much at the same time. And look, we could also see, which I don't know if we're going to see this, but we could see a situation where we get a blocking in the Straits of Hormuz, but Iran has some interest there, so we may not see it. They may not need to do any of that at all. All right, what are you going to do, America? You're going to just go in and take the oil? How'd that work out for us in Iraq? Okay, so this is what we're dealing with right now. We'll continue to watch it. And look, I think I've spoken out enough on this channel. People know me and know that I pray for peace. War is a horrendous thing. Okay, now I'm not saying that I'm a pacifist. I am not. Sometimes war needs to happen, right? If you're looking at atrocities occur, sometimes things happen. I pray for peace. I pray for people to sit down and negotiate diplomatically wherever possible. I also know, though, that these events have definite economic ramifications for us. So we shall see what happens. I'm recording this on the 15th of October, 2023. It is a Sunday. I'm going to put this out on Monday. We will hope that this video is old news and the conflict is being de-escalated and a diplomatic situation or solution is being at least talked about. We shall see. More about this to come. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.